Welcome back, self-explorers, and today I'd like to say a little bit about why astrology is a science. Before we start, remember to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any updates, and to like and share. Click the link to download your free guide, your essential guide to soul astrology, and that will really help you to understand soul astrology a little bit better. And you can read about the 12 zodiac signs and their soul-centered meanings in more depth in my book, Soul Astrology, how your rising sign reveals your soul path and life purpose. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so why is astrology a science? Well, first of all, why am I even having this conversation? Because so many people say astrology is not a science. There's a lot of snobbery in science and about what real science is. And often what we think of as the classical sciences, like physics and understanding the laws of gravity. And people think, well, that's real science. You can do an experiment and prove that the apple falls down from the tree and prove that it was gravity that caused that. And that is science, but it's only one aspect of science. And what people often don't think about when they think in terms of science are social sciences. What about sociology, for example, which is the study of societies and how people form societies, and anthropology, which is the study of groups, primates. You know, how do groups of chimpanzees interact with one another? How do groups of humans interact with one another? So there are different branches of science, and I would say that astrology is an emerging branch of science from the point of view that it's a science if you accept that self-observation can be scientific. Now, here's the point. With classical sciences like physics, what people do is they set up an experiment and an observer. So there's an external observer observing the effects and the results of the experiment. So there's this thing, what they call the actor and the observer. There's the subject that's being observed, and there's the observer. Now, that's considered or was for a long time considered to be the most respectable type of science, because the observer is not involved, so they're not biased. So it was thought that to be not biased would be the best and most accurate type of science, because you're not influencing the results. Then as time went by, something called actor-observer bias was noticed, whereby in actual fact the person observing affected the results. And this is because we live in a holistic universe. Everything affects everything else. The Buddha taught about the law of interdependence. So it's now thought that perhaps by even observing something, we are affecting it. And there are experiments that have been done to prove how that is the case. Whatever the observer expects to see will influence the results. And then there's something else called the emergence of heuristic research, which actually takes into account people's experiences. And it's now thought in the social sciences, especially in the study of people and human groups, that you can't have somebody outside who's totally uninvolved interpreting the meaning. You can't understand the meaning of what it means to be part of that group unless you actually are part of that group and you know what the meaning is for you. So in terms of understanding meaning and having different meaning, sometimes we actually have to be involved. And in the East, there is a great tradition, especially in spiritual traditions, of direct experience, that you only really know something and understand something once you experience yourself directly. Now, in his book, The Universe in a Single Atom, the Dalai Lama speaks about the benefits of bringing the two systems together, bringing the Western scientific approach, where we observe things to see whether it's true and can be replicated across different scenarios, and the Eastern approach of direct experience, marrying that with direct experience. And so if we actually think now of the emerging soul astrology and esoteric astrology, the astrology of our inner experience and how we can relate to our inner experience, if we actually acknowledge that observing our inner experience can in and of itself be scientific, then we can say that the emerging astrologies of self-observation are indeed scientific. Remember to click the link below to download your free guide and learn more about soul astrology. And when you're ready to go deeper, have a look at my book, Soul Astrology, How Your Rising Sign Reveals Your Soul, Path and Life Purpose. That tells you a lot more about the soul purpose of each of the 12 signs. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you love soul astrology, remember to like and share and subscribe to this channel. See you next time.